I've played a lot of video games growing up and still continue to play games today. Gaming has evolved so much throughout the years, but the golden years for me were definitely the early 2000s. Studios were constantly experimenting with different ideas and different ways to satisfy gamers back then. It felt unique and it felt fresh, and with all these ideas constantly floating around back then, some games were bound to slip through the cracks and become lost potentially forever. So today, we are going to take a look at some of these cases of lost media in the gaming world. Highlander was an action RPG announced in January of 2008 by Square Enix. The game's announcement came with a trailer first seen on GamesTrailers.com, but 2 years later in December 2010, the game was cancelled seemingly out of nowhere. Now, if you hadn't figured it out already, this game was based off the film franchise of the same name, and this was an attempt to put the franchise back into the spotlight. The game had you play as Owen McLeod, an immortal. He is the ancestor to both Connor and Duncan McLeod, who were the protagonists of the Highlander movie and TV show, respectively. As I just mentioned, Owen is a powerful being known as an immortal, and can only be killed by being beheaded. He can survive all sorts of injuries such as gunshots, electrocution, and even falls from great heights. Very similarly to the movie, the game would have Owen traversing through many different timelines to fight other immortals through sword combat. The game will let you explore feudal Japan, medieval Scotland, a futuristic vision of New York, and Pompeii before the historical volcanic eruption. Owen's story, personally, would begin with a group of men breaking into his apartment hoping to find 3 fragments of an ancient artifact. Owen would soon find out that the leader of these men is an immortal, so Owen goes on his own journey for these fragments, believing that they're somehow linked to his destiny. The game would also have you do combat against many immortals throughout your journey and would provide you with a variety of swords to do so. You would also get numerous unique abilities such as Resurrection, Chi Balance, Fireblade, Wind Fury, Stone Armor, and other powered up special attacks. You probably realized from the gameplay, but this game is a third-person hack and slash, which plays very similarly to games like Devil May Cry and God of War. The game was to span across 18 missions featuring many epic boss fights along the way, and also a system that allowed you to upgrade techniques and such. Most interestingly to me, the game seemed to have a very unique movement system to traverse the environment, such as zip wires, dagger and traverse climbing, swan dives, free falls, cannonballs, and beams. The game's development cycle was rough to say the least. The game was essentially stuck in development hell and was even planned to be released as early as summer of 2008. The development team, Widescreen, was tasked with Highlander and would suddenly stop working on it when it needed to be released. The following year, the game still remained stagnant. Producers and publishers were disagreeing with each other on what to do with the game, and Widescreen began working on another game before filing for bankruptcy, causing the game to be postponed. It was not until December 2010 that Square Enix confirmed the cancellation of the game. Now, it was never officially stated why the game was exactly cancelled, but an anonymous source claiming to have worked on the game indicated that it was finished but was of poor quality, which would explain the many delays the game had undergone. But of course, this is all speculation. Another source who worked on the game claims the game was cancelled due to a clash between publisher and IP owner at 2 months of the release. It wasn't until March of this year that we finally got some sort of closure, as just recently a prototype of the game in its entirety has been found. Although it looks to be in pretty rough, buggy, and unpolished condition, any kind of closure with these cases is good. It's a real shame about this one though. I would have loved to see an official release. The concept seemed really cool and I really do enjoy Devil May Cry and the older God of War games, so this seemed right up my alley.
Attention, you are now being connected to the Gas Game Farm. This is an online multiplayer gaming environment. Feeding of the animals is strictly prohibited. For your own safety, please keep your hands on your controller at all times. A general feeling of amusement will be felt throughout the program. Should you experience any nausea or lightheadedness, please consult a physician. Your Game Farm experience starts now.
Game Farm is a partially lost children's game show that aired on Nickelodeon Games and Sports for Kids, hosted by Anne Hugh and Max Darwin. The series premiered on April 5th, 2003, and ran until April 5th, 2004. The show was taped at Nickelodeon Studios. In the program, contestants competed in online video games, which they called a multi-gamer tournament. Basically, 3 in-studio contestants faced each other while a 4th player joined remotely through the internet. After 2 rounds, the highest scoring contestant advanced to face a mysterious video game master known as the Gaminator in the final round. Between gameplay segments, the show featured sketches and gaming-themed segments such as Game Farm Lab, Gamertainment Tonight, a parody news segment, and Human Video Game, where a celebrity guest participated in a physical challenge. The show also encouraged viewer participation through weekly top 5 polls hosted on the Nick Gas website. After Nick Gas shut down on December 31st, 2007, most of the network's original programming disappeared from the circulation, including Game Farm. For several years, only the first 2 episodes were publicly available online after being uploaded to YouTube in 2012. A DVD set reportedly containing 5 episodes briefly appeared on sale on iOffer, but was later removed and only a single segment from it surfaced online in 2021. On September 16th, 2025, Anne Hugh, one of the original hosts, uploaded all 7 episodes of Game Farm to her YouTube channel, confirming the total episode count and rendering the series fully found. Agartha is a cancelled single-player survival horror game made for the Dreamcast by French studio No Cliché. The project was directed by Frederic Renal, best known for creating the Alone in the Dark series. In Agartha, you'd play as a man named Kirk, and the premise of the game was meant to be something like this. During the winter of 1929 in a Romanian village that was partially destroyed by a landslide that occurred during a mysterious earthquake, a subterranean city exists called Agartha. This is where evil is being kept prisoner and is desperate to escape. Kirk, the human hero, will encounter a series of characters from villages, the living dead, fanatics from an evil sect, monsters, demons, soldier monks, priests, archangels, and the Sentinel, who is the ultimate personification of evil. As Kirk, you can decide to save as many people as you want, or trigger the arrival of chaos on Earth. As Kirk's morals waver between good and evil, this ambiguity changes the aim of the adventure and the narration of the story. It seems like from the synopsis, the player would have to make many moral choices throughout the story, possibly leading to different endings. Any information about the game's combat system is non-existent, meaning we don't even know if there was a combat system. But there are mentions of an online mode that featured deathmatches and other team-based game modes. Development reportedly began around 1999, although references to the game appeared in the press as early as 1998. Early coverage compared the game to Resident Evil due to its survival horror gameplay. The game was showcased to the industry at the European Computer Trade Show in 2000, where screenshots depicting a snow-covered environment and a brief plot synopsis were released. At the time, the game had been planned for a late 1999 release before being delayed to 2001. The reason for this delay was because Sega wanted the production of Dreamcast to be discontinued. The sudden decision by Sega meant that any games that were still in the process of being made needed to be finished immediately. Unfortunately, this caused developers to rush for completion, and for Agartha, the game never reached the stage in development. No Cliché stopped development as per the order of Sega Europe and ceased to exist soon after. Sometime after this incident, No Cliché would make a statement on their website. Due to Sega's decision to stop development in Europe, No Cliché stopped its activity. Almost all employees have been made redundant. Agartha, the horror adventure game, is cancelled. The managing staff is working on the company's rebirth. For several years, very little material from the game was publicly available. In 2008, the preservation website Unseen64 published an article compiling the limited information known about the project and obtained roughly 15 minutes of early in-game footage. More material surfaced in later years. In 2018, a demo build from the game's planned E3 2002 appearance was discovered in a Dreamcast game lot on eBay and subsequently dumped online. In 2020, developer Dieter Chanfrey shared a level design drawing from the game on Facebook. In 2021, a more advanced demo build dated March 5, 2001 was uploaded to the Internet Archive by Dreamcast Sega Info. Although there are playable prototypes like I said before, Agartha remains an unreleased game with much of its development history and content still lost. Agent is a cancelled stealth action game that was in development by Rockstar North and Rockstar San Diego. The game was originally planned as a PlayStation 3 exclusive and was officially announced in 2009. Although this is true, a concept of the game goes as far back as 2004, right after the release of San Andreas. Rockstar was interested in creating a new IP, inspired by films like James Bond. An early test prototype was even created in the San Andreas engine, which featured all kinds of spy elements like a hang glider and a car that can transform into a submarine. Rockstar North's president was actually impressed by the demo, giving the game the green light into starting full development of the game. The game was going to be more linear opposed to GTA's open world, and would feature multiple international locations including a French Mediterranean city and a Swiss ski resort. Much like the Bond films, planned sequences for Agent reportedly included a downhill skiing chase and various shootouts. Rockstar San Diego developers conducted location research in Cairo, Egypt, photographing areas to recreate them accurately in-game. During this trip, developers reportedly encountered legal trouble due to location restrictions on photographing public locations and government buildings. One of the team members even had a gun held to their chest. Anyway, the game remained largely secret until 2007 when Sony revealed that Rockstar was developing a new franchise for the PlayStation 3. The title, Agent, was officially announced at E3 2009, where Sam Heuser described it as a unique espionage experience set during the Cold War.
For more than a decade, Rockstar Games have been delivering unrivaled interactive experiences to fans all over the world. Grand Theft Auto, Bully, Midnight Club, and Manhunt all began on PlayStation. Today, we'd like to announce a new property coming from Rockstar North. It's called Agent, and it will be exclusive to PlayStation 3. Agent will take a player across the globe amidst the shadowy world of espionage and assassins in the darkest hours of the late 1970s.
Rockstar later suggested a possible 2010 release window, though its publisher Take-Two Interactive never confirmed a specific date. Agent's development was ongoing but slow, and the project eventually disappeared from public updates. Nothing was happening, and the trademark for Agent was renewed in 2013 and 2016, but development reportedly stalled as Rockstar shifted resources to other titles in the GTA series. The game was ultimately abandoned after it failed to progress as expected and became a distraction from other projects. In 2018, the United States Patent and Trademark Office officially listed the trademark as abandoned, effectively confirming the game's cancellation. Only a small amount of material from the game has surfaced publicly. A few screenshots and clips circulated online, and alleged concept art and character sketches were leaked around 2017 through social media and gaming forums. As of today, no playable builds of Agent have been released or leaked, and due to how strict Rockstar is with their IPs, a full prototype surfacing is considered unlikely. Honestly, I'm really bummed about this one in particular. The concept seemed very promising, and it kinda sucks that Rockstar just shelved it for more GTA. Very much a missed opportunity if you ask me. Austin Powers Mojo Rally is a cancelled kart racing game based on the Austin Powers films. This game was developed by Climax Development and was planned to be published by Rockstar Games for the Sega Dreamcast around 2000. The game was first announced through press releases and gaming magazines including EA Gaming Monthly, Tips and Tricks, and the official Dreamcast magazine, which listed the game for a December 2000 release. However, the project was repeatedly delayed and was eventually cancelled before release, likely due to the declining commercial performance of the Dreamcast that we mentioned earlier in the list. Mojo Rally was described as a multiplayer kart racing game featuring characters from the Austin Powers franchise. Gameplay was reportedly inspired by popular kart racers such as Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing. The game was planned to include 4-player multiplayer, 15 racetracks, and 8 playable characters, each equipped with unique weapons. I couldn't find any information on what these weapons each character had exactly, but I assume they're power-ups that you can activate manually, as opposed to having to pick them up like in Mario Kart. Very little material from the game has surfaced publicly. Some rendered character models from the project have appeared online, though their original source is unknown. No screenshots, gameplay footage, or playable builds of the game have been discovered. The identities of the developers involved with the project are also largely undocumented, making further investigation difficult. As of today, Austin Powers Mojo Rally remains a largely lost, cancelled game, with basically no evidence of its existence known to the public. Call of Duty Vietnam, or Call of Duty Fog of War, is a cancelled third-person action-adventure game that was being developed by Sledgehammer Games for the Call of Duty franchise and planned to be published by Activision. The project began development around 2009 and was intended to be the first third-person entry in the Call of Duty series. Set during the Cold War era, conflicts of the 1960s and 70s, the game would have taken place across Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. The game aimed for a darker and more narrative-driven experience, reportedly inspired by Dead Space, reflecting the previous work of studio founders Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield. Development lasted approximately 8 months, during which the team conducted extensive historical research on the Vietnam War and related conflicts in Southeast Asia. A playable prototype was reportedly created, containing around 15 minutes of gameplay. However, development was halted when Activision reassigned Sledgehammer Games to assist Infinity Ward with the development of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. The Vietnam project was subsequently shelved before entering full production. The cancellation was publicly confirmed by Glenn Schofield in 2011, with additional details shared in a 2014 interview. Schofield stated that he remained interested in revisiting the concept if the opportunity arose. Following the cancellation, Sledgehammer Games went on to develop Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Very little material from the project has surfaced publicly, aside from a small amount of concept art posted in 2009 by artist Eddie Del Rio. No gameplay footage, screenshots, or playable builds of Call of Duty Vietnam are known to exist online. As of today, the prototype remains unreleased, making the game one of the most obscure cancelled projects within the Call of Duty franchise. To me, it sounds like we might have gotten some of those ideas in COD World War II, but the concept of a third-person Call of Duty sounds so weird to me. Doom 4 was a cancelled entry in the Doom franchise developed by ID Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game was planned for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Microsoft Windows using the ID Tech 5 engine. Development began after the game was confirmed at QuakeCon 2007. The game was reportedly set during a demonic invasion of Earth in New York City, where players would control a lone survivor who joins a resistance against demons released by the UAC. Gameplay was described as a modern-style first-person shooter influenced by franchises like Call of Duty. Development struggled following the mixed reception of another Bethesda game called Rage, and the project was eventually cancelled around 2011. The concept was later reworked into a reboot of the franchise, which became Doom 2016. A playable pre-alpha build reportedly existed with both single-player and multiplayer content, though no full build has surfaced online. Only leaked screenshots, concept art, and limited information about the cancelled project are currently available. Donkey Kong Racing was a cancelled racing game developed by Rare for the Nintendo GameCube and planned as a sequel to Diddy Kong Racing. The game was first revealed with a teaser trailer at E3 2001 and was expected to release in 2002. Unlike its predecessor, the game would have featured characters such as Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and Tiny Kong, racing on animals from the Donkey Kong Country series rather than vehicles. Rideable animals shown included Rambi the Rhino, Ungar the Swordfish, Ellie the Elephant, and Zingers, each with unique abilities. The game was also planned to feature a seamless overworld, dynamic environments, and 4-player multiplayer. Development was disrupted when Microsoft acquired Rare in 2002, preventing the studio from continuing to work on a Donkey Kong title owned by Nintendo. The project was later reworked into a different game called Saberman Stampede, which was also eventually cancelled. Today, only a few promotional images and the original E3 2001 teaser trailer are known to exist. No playable builds or prototypes of Donkey Kong Racing have surfaced online.
It's Family Guy Online, a new free-to-play game launching soon. Say what?
Family Guy Online was a browser-based MMORPG based on, well, Family Guy. The game launched in 2012 and was developed by Roadhouse Interactive and published by Fox Digital Entertainment. The game allowed players to create custom characters and complete missions for characters from the series in the town of Quahog. Despite the popularity of the show, the game reportedly generated little revenue and was shut down in 2013. After the shutdown, the game client and servers were never officially preserved, leaving the game itself lost. However, gameplay videos remain online. In June 2020, Lost Media Wiki community member Smoke uploaded several cached assets from the game dated August 2012. Later, in September 2022, additional archive files, over 2,600 assets and metadata files, were discovered through the Flashpoint Web Cache Recovery Index. Although these recovered files preserve some assets from the game, no complete playable version of Family Guy Online is currently available. Food Fight was a cancelled tie-in game based on that weird-ass animated film from the 2000s of the same name. I'm not even sure how the film got a game, but whatever. It was developed by Cat Daddy Games and planned to be published by Global Star Software for the PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube, and Game Boy Advance, with later plans for the Wii and Nintendo DS. The game was originally scheduled for release in 2006 before being delayed to 2007, and ultimately cancelled around 2008. According to surviving design documents, the game would have featured playable characters such as Dex Detective and Daredevil Dan across multiple platforming and flying stages. Voice actors from the film, including Hilary Duff as Sunshine Goodness, were reportedly planning to reprise their roles. An earlier version of the game was briefly developed by Midway Games West around 2001, using an earlier design for Dex, though little evidence of this version exists beyond concept art. A later playable demo from Cat Daddy's version was reportedly shown at E3 2006. The project was likely cancelled due to the troubled development of the film and corporate restructuring involving Global Star's parent company, Take-Two Interactive. In June 2024, Lost Media Wiki user Ziggy Kashmir uploaded a large collection of development files to the Internet Archive after contacting Cat Daddy co-founder Harley Howe. These files included assets such as models, audio, design documents, screenshots, and gameplay footage, though no playable builds of the game have surfaced. This entry was a pretty weird one, and I was surprised to find that the game even existed when I was researching this topic, but honestly it looks better than the movie. Anyway, thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more Lost Media content in the future. I'd be happy to make some more if you guys would like to see that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.